All right, everyone, welcome back to Crime Wire Weekly. We're going to cover some of the topics we'll be discussing today. In Baton Rouge, an ENT has been assaulted by a patient in an ambulance. And it may not be the first time for this guy, so we're going to be talking about that. Also in Louisiana, Operation Restricted Domain targets sex offenders.
Good name. I like the what they called it.
Yeah, they always come up with these interesting names for operations, whether it's in the military or in, the police spectrum, as this is. 60 people arrested in that. We'll be covering it. Pregnant woman gives birth during her arraignment. Now, that's a hell of a time to have a baby.
Yeah. I mean, literally bring your baby in with you to your life of crime, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. So we're going to be talking about that. A Missouri man threatens a high school graduation. A lot of graduations taking place, obviously, right now. This is the time for them. And one in Missouri had some problems.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I was at a high school graduation just this weekend, and it had problems, but nothing of that level.
Yeah, this is really bad. An Ohio man orders 165 pool noodles and receives all of them in individual boxes from Walmart. Unbelievable story we'll be bringing your way today. A man dies after being trapped on an escalator in Massachusetts. And just terrific story, video out there of that incident. We're going to be covering that. A man abandons exotic snakes on Hollywood's Walk of Fame after police are called.
He abandons them after police are called?
Yeah, so they get called because he had some exotic snakes to begin with.
I don't do snakes.
Just walking around with snakes. And we're going to tell you all about it. Robbers in Florida mace themselves during a pawn shop heist.
I love it. I love it.
Got a little bit crazy with the bear spray.
I love it.
On this one. Miami hotel is sued by a family after their daughter is groped in a pool. What do you have to say about that? Just
well, I don't play at pools because, your kids are in their swimsuits and the freaks are out. So you have to be, it's so sad though. You have to be vigilant everywhere at all times.
And I think that's the moral to this one that we're going to discuss. Auburn University graduate killed by her boyfriend's dad in Alabama.
Yeah, that's got some oddness to it.
Right, exactly. And of course, we'll have overtime after that, but we're going to jump into today's topics. And just prior to doing that, I do want to mention we brought you, of course, the story of Ricky Foster, who was subject of the Devil Wears Dunks documentary. He was arrested on Friday, and we were going to report that to you today, or rather, he was bonded out of jail. He had already been arrested. We were going to report to you that he bonded out, but before we could get to that, he has been rearrested.
Shocker.
So 2 days later for some more counts, in this case, 2 counts of violation of a protection order while he was apparently out on bond.
He is his own worst enemy. He cannot seem to understand, nor does he want to understand, that you cannot do whatever the hell you want. Yeah,
well, he's off the deep end now. And he's back in jail, and this time he loses his right to a bond.
Yeah, and then the amount of money that I guess his family came up with to get him out. That his
money
family,
and property.
But money and property, that his family believes in him. And I know, look, that's common. People screw up and their family loves them so much that, they don't want to believe it, or else they just don't want their poor baby to sit in jail, whatever the hell it is. But to do that to your own family, whoever put that bond up, and then you go within 24 hours and mess that up, you're sorry. Or you should be.
Yeah. Well, he's back in jail again, but not much to report on that except for the fact that he's back in, and this time he doesn't have a bond. So we'll jump into the main cusp of the episode today, and we're going to bring you to Baton Rouge. And a female East Baton Rouge Parish EMS crew member was assaulted by a patient while transporting him to the hospital. this past Wednesday evening, prompting an emergency call for police backup and leading to the man's arrest on felony charges. Kenneth Armstrong, whose age was not released, faces charges of battery of emergency room personnel, emergency services personnel, or healthcare professional, and resisting an officer. This according to the BRPD. The incident unfolded around 6 p.m. after an East Baton Rouge EMS unit was dispatched to a medical call. Following an on-scene evaluation, paramedics determined Armstrong required further medical attention and began transporting him to a nearby hospital. While en route, Armstrong allegedly grabbed a female EMT in the back of the ambulance and assaulted her. The crew member radioed for assistance. 4 Baton Rouge Police Department officers responded, helped to restrain Armstrong, and escorted the ambulance the rest of the way to the hospital. Armstrong was treated, and he was medically cleared at the hospital before being booked into EBR Parish Prison. Due to safety concerns for civilian staff, he was not fingerprinted at that facility. The assaulted EMT was evaluated by emergency room staff and later released without serious injury. Now, court records do show that Armstrong had a previous charge of battery of an ER personnel, this in August of 2025, that carried an outstanding bench warrant.
So, sounds to me like there's got to be something going on here with him, in the dome. But outstanding warrant, out walking around doing his thing. And, if you go to a hospital now or anywhere really that's a medical facility, there's signs up for this very reason that, it's against the law for you to assault staff. They're here to save your ass, not to kiss it. So this is something that unfortunately is very common. And I know we have people that are nurses or in the medical field that'll tell you that people come in and you're trying to help them and they just want to be combative. And it's no different if they're out in an ambulance, that they come in contact with people who are mad, who are mentally unstable for a multitude of reasons, but they don't deserve to be beat on or abused or groped or whatever the situation is here, just to try to transport somebody.
Definitely happens. I don't know if I would classify it as common. I know several EMT workers. It's certainly not something that occurs super often, but with this guy, it was twice that he's done this. Yep. This was not his first time. As a matter of fact, he had battery on an ER emergency room personnel prior to this.
Yeah.
So I don't know why someone would choose. You've got people here that are they're trying to take care of you medically, and you could die in some situations, obviously, without your help, and you're beating on him or doing whatever it is he's doing. It's not real clear on exactly what he was doing to this female EMS crew member, but yeah.
Well, I can tell you this. When I taught years ago, we used to intern our students on ambulances because we had an EMT class. And one of our students was right here in Baton Rouge doing her ride along, getting her hours. And one of the first calls she went to, she got out to help and it turned into a shooting and she had to run.
Yeah. I believe, that there's even a policy where if police are called to a scene and then EMS is dispatched, police have to secure that scene before EMS can go in. They can't just go in before the police get there.
Absolutely.
In these dangerous situations. So it's a very dangerous job. It's akin to what a police officer deals with, a first responder. You get on a scene, especially a dangerous scene, shit can go down that ain't.
Yeah, I had a friend that he's no longer a deputy, but he got called out to a call one time and the husband was beating on the wife. That's why they responded. When he gets there, he goes to take the husband into custody, and then the wife jumps on him and bites him in the arm. He had to go to the hospital and get his arm stitched up. People will turn on you for a multitude of reasons, and that's just another example of, people are wilding out, man. You got to be safe. You got to be vigilant. All right, let's go to, actually, we're going to be right here in Baton Rouge. Now, this was huge. We had a multi-agency operation that was led by the Louisiana Bureau of Investigation, and their whole goal was to target sex offenders who were violating their Louisiana sex offender registration requirements, and this resulted in 60 arrests. That is a massive number of arrests. And this was all announced by the Attorney General's office on Monday. So the AG's office, alongside several sheriff's offices and district attorney offices, said that the arrests were as a result of Operation Restricted Domain. And this had started in February. So basically, the operation was done where law enforcement databases and other resources were used to identify who were these registered sex offenders. And guys, if you're a registered sex offender, that means that you have been convicted and that we know that you are a problem. Okay. And so they have registration requirements, and these requirements mean that there are certain things you have to do based on what you've been convicted on. Well, Operation Restricted Domain was a major success. And basically the state of Louisiana is saying there are no safe havens here for people who prey on children. Attorney General Liz Murrill said, "We will find you, we will arrest you, and we will bring you to justice." And so they did target these guys or follow these guys who were in violation of doing unlawful online activity. And listen real quick to what all platforms they caught these guys and gals, what the platforms were. As parents, I think it's important. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, PlayStation Network, Reddit, Grindr, Luxury Date, and Fortnite. All of these are very familiar sites that I know children frequent because they're playing their games. But the largest number of these arrests came from sex offenders being identified on Facebook. On Facebook, guys, 33 instances were located from that Meta-owned platform. So Liz Murrill asked parents to be vigilant about allowing their children to use these platforms, as well as games like Roblox, a frequent target of Murrill-led sex crimes operations and lawsuits. There are no safe havens for sex offenders. That was a direct quote. The Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, West Feliciana Sheriff's Office, and then there's like this massive list I could keep going through, but like our Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, Public Safety and Corrections, and a multitude of other agencies were part of this investigation. The 18th Judicial District Attorney's Office, 19th, 20th, 21st, 23rd, all of those districts were involved in the operation as well. And the AG's office said that this year, the ICAC Task Force and Cybercrime Unit have made a total of 292 arrests, identified 36 child victims, and rescued 32 children from ongoing abuse investigations. Huge.
Yeah, and the ICAC Task Force, y'all, which is Internet Crimes Against Children, this is a task force of individual investigative units inside of each sheriff's department inside of the state of Louisiana. Mm-hmm. So you have to opt into this program. And over time, the Attorney General's office has partnered with any sheriff's office that would like to partner with them. They now have all sheriff's departments in the state of Louisiana participating in this. And they kind of group together, band together, they share information, and all of this is used to catch child predators and has been very successful. And it's got a lot of these guys off the street. But in this case, these were guys that were registered already. So as Kelly said, they've already got a conviction. Mm-hmm. And as part of their sentence, they have to register on the sex offender registry, and they're doing that. And then some of them weren't doing that when they were supposed to be. Mm-hmm. All of these sorts of issues. And so 60 people in one sweep.
Listen,
pretty scary.
Very important to note two things here. Number one, if it's taking an ICAC team to locate, identify, and follow these guys and catch them in what they're doing, it's no wonder that it's difficult for a parent to track all of this. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're not tech savvy. That's why you have to be on top of it, because predators of today are not the predators of yesteryear where they, are riding up and down the streets. Now, obviously some are, but we have given them a new avenue here with social media. We've given it to them. Yeah. There's no checks. There's no balances. Even if there are some that they say there are on platforms, they're going to find a way around it. It is what it is. But secondly is this, please, I implore people, look up your local sheriff's office website. They usually have a sex offender registry section on there. You can click it. You can put your address in. your address. It will bring up sex offenders, and you can pick what radius you want, 1 mile up to whatever. Show your children their faces. Be proactive. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. You never know. It might save your child. And no parent here, I'm assuming, that had a child victim went, oh, I know. I just didn't care. A lot of times it's happening under the radar and they're being groomed. So be proactive as best you can.
And now that's the ones that have been caught. Of course, there's a lot of people not on the registry that are predators. And so you need to be in your kid's business. You need to be absolutely on their phone every night. If your kid's under a certain age, I don't need a freaking phone. I will argue people down to death. An 11-year-old doesn't need a phone. You know, what do they need a phone for? Or if they do have a phone, make it where it can only make calls. You know, you can get phones that you can't download applications on. Get them something like that, because this is where these predators are shopping. And
there's also,
you can believe that.
There's also things too that people don't realize, like metadata in photos. So if your kid sends a very vanilla or benign photo, for example, there's latitude and longitude in those photos captured, and with the right software or with the right knowledge, someone can find where you are taking these photos, and kids, what they don't know can hurt them. So it's well beyond just saying, hey, don't talk to strangers. Be proactive, be in their business. I agree.
Yep. All right, let's go to Brooklyn, New York, and a 33-year-old woman delivered a healthy baby boy on a wooden bench inside a packed Brooklyn courtroom. This is this past Friday night while awaiting arraignment on low-level drug possession and trespassing charges. Samantha Randazzo, who was 9 months pregnant at the time, went into labor. This is at 11:30 p.m. that night. Her water broke as she sat on the bench surrounded by police officers and court personnel. Court officers quickly assisted the judge as he cleared the courtroom, and she gave birth to what her attorney described as a bouncing baby boy just minutes before midnight. Both mother and child were reported in good condition and were taken to the hospital immediately afterward. Now, she had been arrested the previous evening after NYPD officers observed her and another person on a rooftop of a public housing complex with a controlled substance in plain view. She was charged with criminal possession and trespassing. According to police, she was wearing baggy clothing, did not disclose her pregnancy during the initial arrest or at the station house, and initially declined medical attention. Later at the station house, Randazzo reported drug withdrawal symptoms and informed officers she was pregnant. She was transported to a hospital around 3:30 a.m. Friday, treated and discharged later that day despite being in full term. She was then returned to custody and brought to the arraignment that evening. Her attorney called the birth a joyful and sad situation given the circumstances. He noted the court staff responded immediately and restraints were removed once labor began. Sharp also said hospital doctors had not realized how close she was to delivery. Public defender organizations, they reacted with outrage. In a joint statement, they basically said she gave birth in shackles on a courtroom bench without adequate medical care, privacy, or dignity, surrounded by court personnel, etc. So, you know, look, she put herself kind of in that situation.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but you're on a rooftop the night before you give birth and you've apparently got drugs and you're trespassing. And that's what put you in a position where you were forced to kind of deliver this baby in a courtroom.
Look,
now you're complaining about it.
Yeah.
As if it's the system's fault.
Giving birth is not an illness. You know what I'm saying? Giving birth is not an illness. It's pregnancy. Deliveries happen. We've reported on deliveries in airplanes. That's not wanted, but it happens. People have given birth in grocery stores and on the side of the road. Hell, we've been giving birth for how many years here? Thousands and thousands of years. For them to react in outrage is absurd. Okay? You can't predict anything beyond the fact someone might go into labor around the 9-month mark. We practice medicine. It hasn't been, perfected. So, she's where she was supposed to be. She was given immediate care. She gave birth in an air-conditioned building surrounded by people who assisted her. They took off her shackles and was transported to a hospital. What more do you want? How about there's the outrage over a pregnant woman using drugs when she's pregnant?
Or at least having them.
Allegedly. Yeah, I'll say allegedly. But come on, where there's smoke, there's fire. I believe that. So the outrage needs to be really, I think, maybe they should hold a mirror up to her, and that's where the outrage should be. But hopefully this baby can help her change her mindset, turn her life around, make better decisions, and maybe this can be the thing that sparks that. That would be wonderful. All right, St. Charles, Missouri. A 36-year-old St. Charles man whose wife, a local high school teacher, died by suicide late in March, repeatedly parked her vehicle at the school where she worked and at a district administrative office at least 15 times, even after being served with an order of protection, while displaying a bumper sticker that read, quote unquote, "I'm unpredictable." That's according to authorities. That has creep factor written all over it. Alex Reichert was arrested earlier this month, and he was charged with first-degree stalking, first-degree making terrorist threats after prosecutors say he blamed school staff for his wife Sky's death, stalked a district employee, and posted online threats with countdowns that all pointed to the St. Charles School District's class of 2026 graduation ceremony. Sky Reichert had been placed on administrative leave by the district after her husband filed a defamation lawsuit in March against an anonymous staffer who allegedly sent emails to his employer accusing him of providing alcohol to children and other inappropriate behavior. She then died by suicide at the end of March. Following her death, Alex Reichert allegedly began targeting the school and a female district employee described as his former quote-unquote paramour. He was seen circling the school in his deceased wife's car before parking it outside and in close proximity to the St. Charles High School campus and then those nearby district offices. The St. Charles Police Lieutenant Daniel Gibbons added that he even placed a bumper sticker on the vehicle that read, "I'm unpredictable." So police say Reichert parked the car at the school twice in March and continued the behavior at other district buildings 15 times after being served with a restraining order. So he then went and changed his Instagram account name to alex.countdown and posted numerous social media messages featuring countdowns that all ended on this Sunday, as it's quoted, which was the date of the district's graduation ceremony, according to the authorities. So prosecutor described the posts as communicating an implied threat involving danger to life with references to guns and a potential incident at the event. So in a bond request hearing, I guess, prosecutors wrote that Reichert has lost his job, his wife, and his paramour, and that his behavior and social media posts indicate he has nothing left to lose and will take his anger and frustration out on innocent civilians. And they noted that he possesses guns and implied that he would use them. So the suspect presents a danger to the staffer as well as to the attendees of the ceremony and the community, according to the filing. The suspect has already been served with an order of protection and continues on his campaign to harass and to stalk. So Reichert was ordered held without bond, and he remains in custody in the St. Charles County Jail. He is scheduled for a court appearance next week.
What is a paramour?
I thought that a paramour was like your like enemy, but I think I'm wrong on that.
Okay, we'll look that up, and while I talk
because I like
about
the band Paramore.
This.
His lover.
Okay. You thought it was your enemy?
I did.
Boy, that's the absolute
Holy
opposite of what
shit,
it was.
I'm glad I didn't say something crazy about, like, this is my paramour.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Start my own rumors.
So this guy, from what I'm gathering from this, he's blaming the school for his wife's suicide?
Yes.
Is that...
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
But it doesn't really get into why he would be blaming the school for that, does it? Did I miss something?
No, but like the way I'm seeing this is that his wife was placed on administrative leave because of what her husband was accused of, if that makes sense, right? Because they said he was the one allegedly providing alcohol to children and doing inappropriate behavior. So I'm wondering...
This guy's got something wrong. Obviously got some mental issues with him, and I don't know if the suicide is what drove him to that, but he needs some help, man. What are you doing? 15 times? It
looks like his wife might have been, and I'm guessing with an educated guess here, but it looks like he had an illicit lover. Maybe the lover, it's implying maybe that person maybe sent the email or something. Then the wife not only gets put on administrative leave, but also, has her husband cheating, and maybe it just got too much for her. And instead of him going, maybe I have something to do with this, he's mad at everybody else.
I don't.
He wants everyone else to
really
suffer along with him, I guess.
Well, and you got innocent kids at a graduation, and regardless of whether he means he was going to do what he was implying he was going to do, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, you don't.
A lot of innocent kids there.
Threaten something like that. No. That's not a joke at all. That's not even if you're angry, there's certain things you don't joke about or that you don't say even in anger. And that's one of them.
All right, let's go to the favorite segment of the day, and that is Utterly Unrelated.
Yes.
This is where we cover something that's not necessarily a crime, but definitely interesting and fun to talk about. And this time we're going to take you to Ohio and a 35-year-old from Ohio who placed what he thought was a straightforward bulk order for some foam pool noodles, and 165 of them, actually.
Wow.
He orders these from Walmart. And they must have had a sale going on. I don't know why he would need 165 pool noodles, but he sure ordered that. And when they come in 165 individual boxes. Could you imagine?
No, I'm thinking about how much time it would take to open them.
Well, his name, Matthew Bright, he used cut up pool noodles actually as packing material.
Oh.
So it did come out what he used those pool noodles for. He sold antique cast iron cookware. He would restore this cookware and then ship it back to the person. He said he expected the order to arrive in just a few, what you would think of as pool noodle boxes, just a few of them, maybe 25 in each box, whatever. Instead, FedEx, and I said, Walmart filled the order, but FedEx actually delivered it. The FedEx driver pulls up and he unloads 165 separate oversized cardboard boxes on the first day. And then the second day, 75 more that he didn't even order. So he ended up with 240 boxes. Now, video footage shared by Bright shows his front porch and lawn completely covered in identical brown boxes, each containing a single $2 foam noodle. What are we doing? He said as he opens box after box. It's all one order with the exact same item. The post quickly spread across social media where users joked about everything from the delivery driver's easy day, one stop and they weigh nothing, to the Walmart packer who apparently spent an entire shift taping and labeling 165 boxes.
Can you imagine?
Many commuters pointed out the environmental waste and questioned Walmart's automated shipping system, which is what I was kind of thinking was, man, the expense to ship those $2 noodles times, what ended up being 240 boxes. Walmart can't be happy about that, right? In response to the backlash, Walmart did reach out to Bright and offer him a $50 gift card along with an offer to pick up the excess boxes. Bright told local media he was flabbergasted by the delivery, but has seen the humor in it and now has more than enough packing material for years of shipping restored cookware. And you ought to see it if you're watching the Patreon right now. You're seeing these. It took up his whole freaking storage shed. Just the same flat box containing one freaking pool noodle. But it's hilarious.
I got to tell you this, though. I actually resell like stuff online, too, similar. That's genius to use the pool noodle. That actually never occurred to me, so you've just inspired me. But for some reason, I thought that in my mind, when we started the story, I thought he was going to have like a massive pool party and they were going to be like doing a pool noodle fight or something. That's what I thought he would be doing with them. But the boxes could be reused to ship in again.
That's what he said. He can use them to reuse.
So the people who are outraged by the environmental impact, I mean, whatever. It could all be used. It can go, but that's got to be a nuisance to store.
I mean, just from a business standpoint, as a business owner, I'm like, man.
Why didn't their software bulk that?
That was a lot of waste of money.
Yeah. Why didn't their software bulk that? It's all going to the same address. You would think.
I'm sure they did, but some guy decided, I think he was trying to be funny. Somebody at Walmart thought it was funny. Yeah, man, they got people with a sense of humor at Walmart.
I don't know. I think somebody's just not that smart. And thought it was appropriate to single pack a noodle. All right, let's go to Somerville, Massachusetts. And this story is not only tragic, but horrifying. And you don't ever think about this taking place because there's harrowing new surveillance footage that is shedding light on the final moments of 40-year-old father of two, Stephen McCluskey, who became fatally trapped at the bottom of a moving escalator at the MBTA Davis station. And here's the part that's just unnerving. While more than a dozen commuters walked by him without stopping to help. McCluskey, who was a carpenter from South Boston who ran his own home improvement business, stepped on the escalator shortly before 5 a.m. This was February 27th as he was heading to the subway platform. And if you watch the surveillance video, which was obtained by a local news station, NBC 10 Boston, he lost his balance at the bottom and fell backwards. He became entangled in the machinery. His clothing and even the skin on his back was pulled into the escalator's mechanisms, constricting his airway and pinning him in place. Now, more than 20 minutes goes by. McCluskey was struggling visibly. His legs were flailing as he was trying to free himself. And the video shows him eventually going just limp. He's lying motionless on his back. One hand is above his head. Dozens of riders passed within feet of him, some of them even glancing over and looking at him. One man did pause to pull on his legs for a few seconds before just going, oh well, and walking away. No one hit the clearly marked red emergency stop button that's right there on the front of the escalator. It took 18 minutes for a 911 call to even be placed, and then another few minutes for an employee to finally stop the escalator. So when firefighters arrived, they found him without a pulse. It took the rescuers almost 30 minutes to free him from the machinery before he could even be transported to the hospital by stretcher. But this was now almost an hour after he initially fell. He was revived, but he remained in a coma and then would unfortunately die 10 days later. His family was speaking out from their home, and they expressed the heartbreak and outrage over what they described as a preventable inaction in a public space. And I have to say, Jim, I really actually agree with them on this one. This is a quote. Nobody cared. Nobody stopped. Nobody took the time to help to make sure that he was okay. And that was his mother, Mary Flaherty. She was crying while she said that. If somebody took that minute just to help him, he would have been here today. He was a somebody. He had a life. We loved him. They treated him like he didn't even exist. His sister, Shannon, added, I want to make sure that there's somebody or something held accountable for the fact that my brother wasn't protected in a public space. She noted that McCluskey had struggled with drug addiction in recent years, but he did his best every single day to show up for the people that he loved. His obituary described him as a devoted father of his two young sons, Shane and Stephen, who meant the world to him. He was a talented carpenter, and he took pride in building things and helping others, spending hours talking with people and offering advice or fixes around the house. So the DA's office does have an ongoing investigation into this death, and so they are now waiting the medical examiner's ruling on the cause and manner. Now, an escalator safety expert, his name was Robert Cotton, who has more than 40 years of experience, told investigators the delayed response was unacceptable. The MBTA breached that duty. If somebody had knowledge of it, that should have been acted upon immediately. I don't find that acceptable. That's way too long. Now, in the statement from MBTA, they called the incident a terrible accident and reminded riders that anyone can stop an escalator using the red emergency buttons and should call 911 immediately. They say that the personnel responded swiftly to all emergencies and do everything they can to assist individuals and secure the situation. The release of the 57-minute video has renewed calls for accountability, and it raises questions about bystander intervention, station staffing, and then escalator safety protocols at one of Boston area's busiest transit hubs.
Yeah, one of the most bizarre ways that someone has died I've ever come across via escalator, being trapped in the escalator. I never would have thought that would lead to something like that, but obviously he was choked to death.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
You don't realize the power in an escalator. You know, you don't think about it. I know people, you just don't think about that. You think you're just going to step off of it. But the problem is when things don't go like they're supposed to, when you don't step off, when you stumble and then you fall, that's why that emergency button is right there in the front. So we looked it up, or because Jim and I were talking about it before we hit the record button. And I found on just a general search, nothing in depth, but it said that there are 2 to 3 fatalities each year around the U.S. in escalators. So it's not a high number.
No, I mean, there's 350 million people in the United States and 2 or 3. So that's such a small percentage. It's almost
almost minuscule, but
non-existent.
But there's a lot of injuries that happen, and 20 of those injuries, 20% of them do involve entrapments like this. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to blame innocent people that were just walking by, but
it's not their fault.
It's not their fault, but then to see that and to do nothing seems callous. It seems like not my problem, and you just keep walking.
There's a lot of people in the world like
maybe
that,
it's
Kelly Jennings.
I know, and I don't want to be one of those people. I want to stop and help anybody.
Yeah.
If
don't be.
You know.
Yeah.
Someone just could have hit that button and he'd be alive.
Yeah. A lot of failure to render aid. It's crime in some cases.
Yeah.
When you don't do that.
If you have not ever seen it, just take the time when you go to your local mall or you go somewhere where there's an escalator, look at the very front of it. There's a big red button right on the handle at the very front of the escalator, and that is the emergency stop.
On both ends, incidentally.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this. I had one incident in an escalator that seriously could have been bad. You know, you're never supposed to put a stroller on an escalator, right? You're not.
I didn't know that.
You are never supposed
to. 3 kids.
I know, but I learned the lesson the hard way. You're never supposed to put a stroller on an escalator, but because of out of inconvenience, because it would have made me walk around to go find an elevator one time I was at the mall, I decided to get on the escalator. I was very young. It was my first child. Rather than go on backwards where you can like pull, you know what I'm trying to say? When you get to the bottom, you can pull over the hump. I didn't think that through. So I pushed her stroller on it where I was behind it, but I popped the wheel up thinking, okay, and then I'll just push the back 2 wheels over it. Well, my wheels got stuck exactly like they say it will happen. And it caused a chain reaction and it scared the hell out of me. Thank God there was a gentleman behind me that he actually grabbed me like hard and he kind of picked me up and pushed me. And we were able to make it over that hump and it scared me. But simple stupidity on my part. No, really, but simple stupidity.
But you would be the one.
I was.
Wheels get stuck.
Imagine being a young mom and you're the moron who can't even push the stroller.
A man who was parading large exotic snakes around the Hollywood Walk of Fame to pose for tourists' photos and collect money fled on foot when the LAPD approached him this month, abandoning the reptiles on one of the world's most famous sidewalks. The incident occurred on May 12th when officers from the LAPD's Hollywood Division Vice Unit spotted the man walking along the Hollywood Boulevard next to the Hollywood Wax Museum. He was using the snakes described as several large exotic specimens, including what appeared to be a yellow and white boa constrictor to attract paying tourists. When officers attempted to make contact with the man, he slithered away on foot. How do you like that?
I like it.
That's called a pun.
I love it.
And he left the snakes behind. That, according to the LAPD's social media post. Officers quickly secured the animals, placing them into a large bin crate before transporting them to animal control. In a lighthearted Instagram post that had since gone viral, LAPD Hollywood referred to the suspect as the, quote, snake senor, and quipped, that was kind of corny. I didn't find that very funny. Looks like the only thing getting squeezed today was his escape plan.
Did he?
Man, they need a new person running there. He's got some corny jokes.
Scale offense?
Very good. The department posted photos of the officer. That was funnier than what they wrote. Handling coiled snakes in the crate loaded onto a police vehicle. It remains unclear how many snakes were involved, what specific species they were, or how the man obtained them. Hollywood Boulevard, a major tourist hub lined with stars on the Walk of Fame, see frequent street performers, but live exotic animals are actually not permitted without proper permits. Animal control officials have not released further details about the condition of the snakes or their final disposition. The LAPD did not respond to requests for additional comment, and charges are possible, or more charges, and an ongoing investigation. So yeah,
I can't believe you just abandon your animals like that. So I'm wondering if he has some other issues he might also need to be running from. I'm actually a fan of snakes being called danger noodles. I think that is one of the greatest descriptions of a snake I've ever heard. So I call them danger noodles. Don't touch them.
I mean, what do you think about the story, though?
I think that he knew better, that people make an assumption when they go to tourist places like that these people have some type of sense about them, that they have a permit, and that they assume that these snakes are not going to be dangerous in any way. I obviously don't know anything about snakes, but that assumption alone is probably the issue and why the permit
Why do you not know anything about snakes?
Because I don't
like snakes.
I don't want to know about snakes.
I thought you liked all animals.
I do, but I don't want to hold one around my throat or anything.
You've never held one?
I have.
Oh.
Matter of fact, I was on the line shooting the post course, and a snake slithered across my feet.
And the post course, for those that don't know, is a police course.
Yeah, and a snake slithered across my feet, so I just holstered my gun and reached down and picked it up and didn't realize it was a venomous snake. And that's when everyone was like, holy shit, no, Kelly, no. And I was like, ah. So then I had to throw it, but I didn't know how to throw it because I've never been taught how to let go of a snake. And so I just had to hurl that bitch out into the woods.
Okay.
I ain't afraid of a snake. I just don't care for them.
Oh,
I like little green ones.
It's all good. I mean, most people are afraid of snakes.
I'm not afraid.
It's like the most common phobia, if I'm not mistaken.
Roaches will put me on another level.
Yeah, nobody likes those either.
One time students put a fake one in my papers on my desk because they knew that. And when I was flipping through, when I got to it, it freaked me out so bad. I pushed backward and I flipped backward out of my chair, and they loved it.
Well, it's interesting in this story that the guy was making money. So he was, you would think that would be not the animal that you would want to bring to the Hollywood Walk of Fame and try to get people to walk up to you and pet a snake. Yeah. I mean, look, I know people that love snakes and they have them as pets. I'm not hating on snakes, don't get me wrong, but it seems like that would be the struggle to get money with. But I don't know, man. A yellow boa constrictor, I'd probably walk up to it.
I'm not very
check it out.
Yeah, I'm not very impressed though with you abandoning your animals like that. Like you're using them to make money, but then when times get tough,
well,
you just
it was
abandon
illegal.
them.
He's getting out of there. He's going to jail, and he's going to have to abandon them anyway.
Well, still.
I mean,
I don't know. It was just a bad idea all around. I'm not surprised. I guess is why I have lack of like shock factor because people do that kind of stuff all the time. Oh. And frowned upon, but at least the snakes are okay, and he ran off.
I got you. All right.
Okay. This is a very important segment. Oh, I messed it up. I was trying to give a cool thing. All right. This is a very important segment just now coming in, and it's your favorite segment of Foolish Felons. So foolish.
That is not their favorite segment. It's utterly unrelated.
It's so foolish. Okay. Imagine that you are...
So foolish.
There it is. I got it. Okay. Imagine you're wanting to go in and steal a bunch of stuff. You don't, but just imagine it. So you come up with a plan, right? A plan that cannot possibly go wrong.
Right.
And so your plan is to be a masked man with your friends, and you're armed with a hammer and bear spray. And you're going to go storm no other place than the local pawn shop to get your loot. But then your plan collapses in spectacular fashion because when you deploy said bear spray, it filled the store so quickly that you couldn't see, breathe, or even speak because you got so unable to do anything and you had to leave empty-handed. Well, that is what happened here. The attempted armed robbery occurred at 5:53 p.m. at Value Pawn and Jewelry. The investigator said that one suspect carried a hammer and struck a glass jewelry display case that had multiple items in it, obviously shattered or broke the glass and created a small hole. So they couldn't even break the glass very well. The second suspect then discharged the bear spray throughout the store, directly targeting the employees and the customers. But the thick cloud of bear mace quickly overwhelmed the entire business. It did affect 3 employees and 2 customers who were treated at the scene by the Orange County Fire Department for chemical irritation. The employee, Alicia Capuchin, told reporters that she initially thought the loud banging was a gunshot. I turned around and they directly sprayed me in the face and they directly maced my coworker in the face. It instantly burns your face and your eyes. Even right now, I'm still feeling it in my face and my lips. It's very, very potent, very strong. Police believe the suspects panicked as the spray filled the store and ran out without taking any property, possibly macing themselves. The pair fled northbound down the street. Officers, canine units, and even in one Air One responded, but they weren't able to locate these guys. Firefighters later ventilated the business with fans and open doors, and police are still looking for the suspects.
Yeah, and people don't realize that actually happens not necessarily when you're committing a robbery, but anytime people yank out, pepper spray, that gets in the air and you can actually inhale that as if you're being you're being attacked and you pepper spray someone, you got to be real careful not to inhale and exhale that pepper spray. That's why the gel spray is so much better in those situations. It's actually a gel that is shot, a gel like hair gel that is shot out into the face of whoever is assailing you, because it can create a cloud, man.
Yeah,
and bear spray is no joke.
Right. You're taking down a big ass animal. Well, part of your training too in law enforcement is that you have to recognize two things. One, there's always a weapon involved whenever you get into an altercation with somebody on the street because you brought it. There's a gun involved and it doesn't mean you're always going to maintain control of it. Number two, when you spray your Freeze Plus P or whatever on the street, you have to be able to also fight while you're also having the effects of that. So one of the things we do in training is that you get sprayed directly in the face with it, and then you have to fight an assailant with, they have a fake weapon, but you're learning to mitigate those reactions because it makes it that much more difficult. So they're clearly inexperienced, they're clearly stupid, and they got nothing. And I love that. I'm sorry for the people that did get sprayed. That's horrific. That's terrible. But all in all, those idiots didn't get a damn thing.
No, they didn't, and they won't try that again. But you wouldn't even know that until you try it for the first time, how heavy of a cloud that actually puts out. I mean, it's not like a spray of water that comes out in this fine mist and, hits whatever you're aiming at, and that's it. I mean, the whole air fills up with that stuff.
Look.
And bear spray especially, that's potent.
Look.
Put you out.
I went to the mountains and they said, hey, there's bears out there. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. So don't pet them. They're like, no. I'm like, cool. So they put bells around I'm being facetious, but they put bells around her ankles and they said, where are these bells? And I'm looking down, I'm like, this $1 bell is going to save me against a big old angry bear. And they're like, yeah, they won't come near you because of the bear. Well, then we walk up deep into the trail and I kept looking at my husband going, do you smell something that smells like the zoo? And he was like, what are you talking about? Because he can't smell anything. And I'm like, it smells like the zoo. You know that smell? And he's like, no. Dadgummit, we come back out, and the leader guy goes, yeah, that's bear musk, what you were smelling. Okay, great. Well, I brought my little ding-da-ding-ding bell to protect me. I needed this big cloud of mace.
They say that you, if a bear approaches you, you want to make yourself as big as possible, and you want to, go buck wild on the bear. Just start screaming, yelling, jumping up and down.
There's two different kinds, because one bear, you make yourself big, one you play dead. It's like a brown bear versus a grizzly.
I ain't ever playing dead.
Well, you're going to get your head swiped off by a big old paw.
I'm gonna fight.
You're going to look ridiculous without a head.
I would. It ripped my head off anyway.
Where am I going to put your headphones, Jim?
Yeah. All right, let's go to Miami. And I'm going to tell you about a Swedish family who is suing the Radisson Resort Miami Beach for more than $15 million, alleging that the grossly inadequate security allowed a non-guest to sneak into the hotel's pool and sexually assault their 11-year-old daughter during a vacation. The lawsuit was filed in Miami-Dade County Court, and it names the resort's owners, operators, and managers, along with 68-year-old Osvaldo Diaz, the man who is accused of carrying out the alleged groping. The family, parents and their three daughters, 19, 14, and 11, had been staying at the resort for just 2 days when the incident occurred back in 2025. According to the lawsuit, the 11-year-old girl was swimming in the hotel pool with other guests when Diaz allegedly grabbed her buttocks. Believing it might have been accidental, she went underwater to get away from him. The complaint states Diaz followed her underwater and then grabbed her between the legs. The girl immediately climbed out of the pool, told her parents and older sisters what had happened, and her father followed Diaz as he fled the property through a neighboring hotel. The family called hotel security and Miami-Dade police, who arrested Diaz later that day. Diaz was not a registered guest at the Radisson and was charged with lewd and lascivious battery on a child under 16 and burglary with assault and battery. He remains in custody awaiting trial. The family's attorney, Justin Shapiro, said the resort failed to provide basic security measures or access control to the pool area, which is supposed to be restricted to guests only. Quote, there was no supervision, no access control. Anyone could have followed the guest into that pool area from the beach or from the lobby. We have no indication the resort had visible presence of security anywhere on the hotel's grounds, which is grossly inadequate. The family is seeking damages in excess of $15 million. And so there you have it.
So I would agree that there should be some type of security, like you have to use your wristband or your card or something like that to get into certain amenities at a hotel.
Most places have that, especially like Radisson. So it's a higher end hotel.
But even if they do, all someone has to do is swipe their card and he just walks in behind them. No one, have you ever turned around and said, don't walk in behind me, use your own card? You know, that's not
true.
That's not going to happen. He would have found a way in anyway. I'm not saying I'm not saying, what I'm saying is 15 million seems excessive.
Not to me.
Because I would want my daughter to have, if this affected us so profoundly, I know this is coming off wrong the way I'm saying this. I'm just like.
But I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do want to say you're looking at $15 million as what it means to you. That's like $1 to the Radisson, the company, the Radisson.
Yeah.
You have to, when these attorneys are suing corporations like that, the whole point is I'm suing you civilly so that you hurt for that. You feel like you've got to make a change. $15 million is not what $15 million is to you, to the Radisson.
I get it. I guess when I look at a civil lawsuit, I think that obviously pain and suffering, obviously damages, obviously I would want any type of therapy or something. I would have to put my daughter in to help her if she was struggling with it or whatever. But I would want change as far as like
in protocol.
I would be steadfast on their ass about that. Like, you have got to protect your guests. We come here expecting to be protected. Yeah. But in the same right, I bet you they come back with an argument that we also don't do background checks on all of our guests. Just because you have a key doesn't mean that you're safe. And so we have certain,
But at least you're making an effort. You can't just say, well, you can get past that. I mean, of course you can. But if you don't have that protocol in place, $15 million is going to make you put that protocol in place. $1 million won't.
Yeah.
That's the way that they're looking at that, likely.
Yeah. I hope that this fucker gets put behind bars for a hot minute, because he's clearly a predator. He obviously went to this hotel because he knew that he wouldn't have to give up any ID, any type of, because he wasn't a guest there. Of course you would go there because then they wouldn't know who you were. And assaulted this little girl. I feel horrible for her because I know that, you're young. You're a young girl. What did I do to deserve this? Why would someone do this to me? It's because he's a predator, honey. You did nothing wrong. You're a kid. You were swimming in a pool. And I don't know that the $15 million lawsuit is going to change anything, I guess is what I'm saying. I would hope that they would go for more like legislation or something to make those changes.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's something in the books there, but
I wonder what there are.
$15 million is for the family.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it. And the whole point of that is, look, they just had a lawsuit come down through the pikes from I can't even remember exactly which company it was, one of the major companies out there, and they lost in this lawsuit, and it's class action suit, many people involved, $1.1 billion.
Damn.
Billion with a B. Damn. And it's still bankrupt them. That's how much money they have. They can give away $1.1 billion and not miss a beat.
That's why Walmart can box
There's
all those pool noodles.
There's very few companies on earth that can take a $1.1 billion loss and not miss a beat. This company is doing that. I wish I could remember who it was.
But they have insurance policies for this type of stuff too. So, I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be an insurance payout if anything. So is it really going to affect them or is it not?
Well,
those are the things
make their insurance go up for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, I'm sure they have insurance on something like that, and their insurance is going to have to pay out, but then they're going to have to pay higher rates due to that.
But my issue is that the bad guy here, the predator here, is who I need put away. I'm not hating on the lawsuit. I don't know. I hope it didn't come across that way. I'm just
no. I was just saying we as normal human beings look at $15 million. We're like, wow, that's a ton of money. But to those companies, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing to the Radisson. Absolutely nothing. So you have to sue for that $15 million just to make them at least feel it.
Yeah.
At least feel like they need to change something.
If it was my daughter, it would be worth $15 million. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get what I'm saying, but I hope that this guy should not have been walking around. I doubt that that's his first victim too. If you're that forward in a public setting,
that's speculation.
That is absolute speculation. But
could be unlucky, and this is his first time. Could be his 50th.
Yeah,
we don't know.
I just don't. That's predatory.
Mm-hmm.
all in all. Okay, let's go to Trussville, Alabama. A 22-year-old recent Auburn University graduate who had just begun her dream job in interior design was shot in the chest and killed inside her boyfriend's father's Alabama home in March. Authorities confirmed that this week, and the coroner and medical examiner's office officially ruled her death a homicide. So Whitney Harlow Robeson of Richmond, Virginia, was found suffering from a gunshot wound on March the 7th at a residence about 15 miles northeast of Birmingham. So first responders rushed her to a hospital where she was pronounced dead an hour later. Now, the chief deputy coroner, Bill Yates, confirmed that the cause of death was injury to her left lung, her heart, and aorta due to a gunshot wound of the chest. And that manner of death, like I said, was certified as a homicide. Yates specifically clarified that the shooting was not certified as accidental, correcting an earlier report that had described it that way. So Robeson, and this girl was a winner, y'all. She graduated summa cum laude from Auburn University's interior design program in May of 2025. She had recently started working as a trade consultant for Restoration Hardware. Her family and friends said that she had dreamed of a career in design since childhood, and she was inspired by watching those HG TV shows. Her obituary described her as an independent woman with a radiant soul who touched and transformed everyone she met. But following an extensive investigation by the Trussville Police Department's Criminal Investigations Division, 54-year-old Travis Scott Towers, now this is her boyfriend's father, who lives at the home with his son, also an Auburn alumni, was arrested on May 11th and charged with reckless manslaughter. He was released after posting a $30,000 bond and is scheduled to appear in court on July 22nd. His attorney, John Amari and Dane Stewart, they described the incident as a tragic accident and that he definitely was maintaining his innocence. They know that the facts will show that Mr. Towers has no criminal history, has been a productive and upstanding citizen for his entire life, and is not guilty of these charges. Police have not released additional details about the circumstances of the shooting or what led to it. They determined that Towers acted with criminal recklessness in connection with the fatal gunshot.
The reckless manslaughter would lead me to believe that this was a situation where and I don't know if he was showing her a gun and it went off. And I never say accidentally went off because a gun doesn't accidentally go off. You have to squeeze the trigger for the gun to go off. Now, the intention to shoot somebody might not be there. But if a gun doesn't just fire unless you pull the trigger. So it could have been a situation like that. I'm not really going to speculate because we don't know, but reckless manslaughter is not the same as like second degree murder or anything like that. So it tells me there wasn't intent.
Right. So manslaughter in and of itself would imply that there was culpability, which means you hold responsibility in the action. But the recklessness part, I mean, sometimes people will take a magazine out of a weapon and they don't clear the chamber and they still have that one bullet in the chamber. Yeah. And we don't know if it could have been, he was doing something in the bedroom, wasn't even in the same room with her, and he pulled the trigger on accident, goes through a wall and shoots her. We don't know. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff here that could have happened. We'll see where this goes. I don't feel like, they were very clear it wasn't a suicide. They're trying to make that very clear that this was not certified as accidental. Yates specifically clarified that the shooting was not certified as accidental. So it's interesting. I can't wait to find out more about this one. If it's not accidental, then that would mean it was on purpose. I'm trying to say. Yeah. So maybe there's just some misunderstanding in between the reporting and what happened, obviously. But I'll be interested to follow this one.
We'll definitely keep people posted as we get updates on that.
Yep.
Kelly, any final thoughts?
Yes, I want everyone to know that I am now the proud mother of a high school graduate.
Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations.
She also scored a 30 on her ACT, which I'm very proud of, and she's going to be going into nursing. So shout out to all the nurses out there. We had a new generation coming in, and I hope that they will receive her with love and support.
There you go. In Southeastern Nursing School?
No, LSU.
Oh,
LSU.
They have a nursing program at LSU?
They do. Matter of fact,
I didn't know that.
New Orleans is where most people go, but they've opened up now an LSU
nursing
campus,
school.
Like here, nursing school. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Interesting.
And your daughter, wait a minute, your daughter had a big success too. I want you.
Yeah, she got accepted into the LSU Department of What was it?
Interior design.
Interior design. That's
Yeah.
right.
Matter of
totally
fact.
drew a blank. Yeah.
Matter of fact, that's what this young girl, right, was going into.
She graduated in interior design from Auburn, which is also a very good university there. But let me tell you, interior design school for these top ranked colleges are very hard to get into, more competitive than law school. Seriously. They only accept like 60 people, something like that every year. And there's like 900 applicants. So
good job, little
very
Chapman.
Difficult.
Good job.
So very proud of her for that.
You should be. And any of our listeners, guys, y'all brag online. Let us know. Did y'all have any graduates, any big things this graduation season? We'll support them. We support all the successes that these kids are.
Yeah. Yeah. Message Kelly.
Oh my gosh. I am proud of them.
All of that. I am too. Super proud. Well, I've got a little bit different of a final thought, and that is that I want to remind everybody that this weekend, after you hear this episode, is Memorial Day weekend. Of course, Monday is Memorial Day, and very important to remember these people that have died. It's not, and look, I got a little pet peeve here that this is not Veterans Day. Right. So you don't shout out veterans on Memorial Day. You shout out people who have died defending this country. Veterans have their own day where you can thank, you want to thank people for their service every day, obviously. Yeah. But Memorial Day is a day for those who gave their life in defense of this country. So take a minute and if you're barbecuing, hanging out with the fam, whatever, and put some thought into those who have gave and paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can have all these freedoms we enjoy here in the United States.
Amen. And I'll add to that real quick that...
No, you can't. That was my final thought. You didn't have that as a final thought.
I was trying to support you.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'll let you then.
All right. My dad is actually going to receive an award this Memorial Day. Again, he is a veteran, he didn't die, but he's going to be honored at the Capitol on Wednesday, but all because of a deceased Marine who died many, many years ago in Vietnam. My stepdad carried his body out under fire and got a ton of accommodations, not accommodations. What's the word I'm looking for? Awards basically for that. But that deceased Marine's daughter reached out, and she is the reason that's happening because she was so thankful that she got to see her daddy one last time because they recovered him. So to that family, and I'll keep it private just for personal reasons, but to that family, I want to thank them, even though I wasn't even born when Vietnam happened. Thank her daddy specifically on this Memorial Day for giving his life and for our country. I think it's a beautiful thing.
There you go. So, look, stay tuned for the overtime aspect of Crime Wire Weekly. We're going to be talking about topics today like the true crime time machine. We've got some Texas teens arrested after 10 shootings in Austin, 10 separate shootings. These 2 Texas teens have finally been arrested. A woman was arrested for, believe it or not, arson after setting her boyfriend's clothes on fire. Yeah, so a lot of people have probably done that and got away with it. Well, she didn't. We're going to talk about that. And a teen has been charged after an accidental shooting in Pennsylvania. We're going to be covering that. So if you're a Patreon member, that's coming up. For everyone else, until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
And we're your host of Crime
Wire
Weekly.